we have a friend of ours who sells homes in the DMV area, mostly in Maryland. And it was like the day his client was going to sign for a house. And they were just doing a final inspection. They go in the backyard, they pull aside some ivy. I kid you not, they saw some sort of engraved in the wall or a tablet, a whole satanic thing.
Jeez.
From the Church of Satan or whatever it is they call themselves. But it wasn't just like written in chalk or some gag. It was like a real deal, sort of like
a shrine,
like a tablet or a shrine or an altar. So
that'd be a deal breaker for me.
That's a bit,
you're not that house.
So obviously his clients pulled out, but this friend of ours is very devout Catholic, called the local priest, brought him over, and they did a whole blessing. And I don't know if you exorcise a house or not, but they blessed the house and obviously removed all those materials. But that's within 20 minutes of where we are right now. So
yeah, it's here.
Yeah.
It's everywhere, in fact.
All right, welcome to Who Versus. Special guest, Chris Bedford, editor-in-chief of The Blaze. You know him fully. If we went through your whole CV, as they say, it's everything. Young America's Foundation. What was the one you started? New Guard? You resurrected?
New Guard magazine.
Yeah.
National Journalism Center.
Daily
Fired by most places in the American right at one point or another.
the mark of success in this town.
Yeah, I'm one of the guys. I'm one of the probably the last generation of conservatives who've been let go by Richard Viguerie, which is like a high mark. Because
the direct mail guy?
Yeah, like the founding father. Yeah. Great guy. But I've since bumped into like 100 people over 40 years who have also befallen the same fate.
That's what I need to get fired. I probably will after this show.
Yeah, well, this is a special show because the first one where we're going to be smoking cigars with our guest.
Yeah,
we got
about the 250s.
We got a special one just for you. That is the official America 250 cigar.
No, thanks.
I was just telling you before the show started, all American grown leaves. The wrapper is grown in Florida. I think binder is grown in Connecticut, and the filler is from Pennsylvania, and they're rolled in Florida. And even the boxes are handmade by a company in Miami. So that is the official cigar.
Using foreign labor.
But yes, illegal migrant.
It's Miami has its own American traditions.
You're asking all the right questions that we don't want answers to. I'm smoking the My Father La Lealdad, which is sort of a new offering from them, and it's great. I've had a couple. What do you got?
Padron 64, as always. And he's got a 250 as well. Phil, you want to kick us off? What is the topic du jour?
What are we talking about? Where are we starting?
There was Spencer Pratt you wanted to talk about. I don't know anything about that. Scott Pelley. That one's rich because that guy's such a bozo.
Crying on TV.
Crying. Just about himself, too.
Well, let's start there because that's like ripe for mockery. I watched his interview with the New York Times lady yesterday, and I had many takeaways from that, but my biggest takeaway was how disconnected both of them are from
what people care
about.
Or just reality,
what
or
they're
the American
entitled to.
experience, what they're entitled to.
It's incredible.
And one of the things that dawned on me was when she said, you didn't think that going into a meeting with your boss and telling them that you thought they were all fools, that they were ruining the reputation of 60 Minutes would get you fired. And he said, to be honest, I'd never even heard of Barry Weiss. She sold her company for $250 million before she became the boss at 60 Minutes.
So if he didn't know who she was, then maybe he should have done some research.
Because he's a journalist?
Yeah, before he decided how much experience she had and her ability to make editorial impact. I mean, their problem is their audience is dying between 4,000 and 5,000 a day. That's real?
Yeah.
And it's not great if you're trying to run a program. I mean, it's part of what a lot of news companies do have to do because people are getting their news in completely different ways. And you have to go to where young people are. Otherwise, the folks who very traditionally, especially, and like cable television's the first to go, and the network television, the first to go. That's a much older audience. Newspapers, but even online journalism, long-form journalism. A lot of that audience is older. So breaking into that new thing, you have to be willing to talk to the young people, Scott, and you're not entitled.
Yeah, the crying is just obviously so unmanly and embarrassing, and it's not crying.
And it was affected. It wasn't real.
It was affected because he's a pro. He could turn it on, turn it off.
So why would he? Does he not? Does he think that makes him strong?
Yeah, I think so. It makes him sympathetic. Masculine virtues are obviously like
Maybe a single
discarded.
tear at the funeral of your father is like allowed.
Yeah, that's allowed.
That's like,
Or,
just to
you
show
know,
your son that it's like okay, once.
Yeah, or thinking about Killdozer or whatever, single tear, totally
Yeah.
fine.
End of Rambo 3.
Oh my gosh. End
That's
of
a
any
tough
Rambo.
scene.
End of
Even he had a
Braveheart?
tear.
Braveheart?
Yeah. Oh.
Forget it. All right, I'll even admit to that one. Crying about you losing your own job for being a bozo, like it's the most self-obsessed, like
Yeah. Just get
pathetic
drunk.
thing I've ever
like
seen.
a normal person.
Yeah. And the guy is like, his voice, his delivery of everything is just,
You know he's from Texas.
yeah.
He acts
I
like
looked it
he's a true wasp. Yeah.
He talked about affected waspism.
Yeah.
Is what that guy is like leaned into. He's from like rural Texas or southern Texas, and all of Texas is.
And he's the last one too, because you look back, we were subjected to all these guys for our entire life.
Yeah.
I used to watch that show when I was a kid.
Yeah.
60 Minutes? Oh, yeah.
You got Peter Jennings,
Yep.
Brian Williams,
Yeah.
who watched the scene in Girls that his daughter was in with his daughter.
Did he really?
Yeah. How
Gross.
weird is that?
Perf.
Yeah, some people may not remember that deep cut. I'm not going to go into it. The Daily Caller remembered that deep cut. We covered that extensively.
That's good.
Dan Rather.
Rather?
All of them are just gone in disgrace.
Yeah.
It's like, see ya, goodbye, you're done.
It was really funny when that interviewer was asking him about sort of why he was upset, and Pelly goes, well, I really felt like Bari Weiss was putting her thumb on the political scale on behalf of the administration
In a way
to
that-
skew our stories. And that was new to 60 Minutes.
Yeah. Never had a thumb on the scale politically before. That was his take.
And that she's like some kind of MAGA
Yeah,
enforcer
she's-
is also a
She's
hot
basically
take.
like,
Yeah.
I have,
Yeah, exactly.
I have no real beef with Bari Weiss, like nothing real, but she's good on one issue, I think, right? And it's the trans stuff.
I'm glad
everything
she is
else
where
that-
she. I'm glad the Free Press and her have found the place where I think they ought to be. Because there was a brief period of time where it's like, these are the leaders of the conservative movement. It's like, no.
say that.
I mean, granted, we have terrible leaders too, but Barry Weiss is just not among them.
No.
And now she's kind of thought of as a radical independent, and that I'm fine with that. Like that's a proper place to be. But if that probably seems MAGA to the 60 Minutes crowd.
But like clearly, according to Scott Pelley, like that's MAGA, right? And then Scott Pelley goes on this whole thing about free speech and how like he'll die on his sword for free speech.
Well, you did. Good luck.
Yeah. See how that
Okay.
works out.
You retired on the sort of free speech.
Yeah. And then his whole thing about I've been in combat. I've been in literal combat. He starts crying about that. I've been in literal combat. I never put the uniform on, but I've been in literal combat for my country. And then he starts like tearing up again.
He was weeping over people getting fired, ladies getting fired who had been in these combat zones while pregnant. And it never dawned on him that maybe you shouldn't be sending pregnant women into combat zones.
That is strange.
Yeah.
Is that just like, that's what James and I were talking about earlier, is there's like a weird cachet amongst these types of people that the more depraved you are, it like boosts your stock,
Yeah.
right? Like
Your social credit score in that is the more grotesque you appear, the more plastic surgery you do to yourself.
People who have trans children.
People who,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the ultimate flex, right? If
Yeah,
you can get
you're in
your kid
charge.
to mutilate themselves, you are like peak
Yeah.
culture.
Queen of the white women.
Queen of the white liberal women. Exactly right.
you've been following the Spencer Pratt thing in LA.
Yeah. Depressing, right? Deeply depressing.
Deeply depressing.
Not surprising though.
No.
How do we go from he's like this national celebrity and then he's like probably going to be number 2, and then out of nowhere this Indian lady whose name I've never heard of is suddenly in the second spot overnight?
Machine politics.
Yeah.
I don't know.
People know what to do.
I didn't even think she knew she was running.
Yeah, she's out there. Yeah, I saw her at the debates. She was irritating. You might remember her as the person who said What difference does it make if the homeless camp is in front of your kid's school?
Yes, she did say that.
She said that?
Yeah. She's like, what does it matter if it's 100 yards away or right in the front door? It's like, well, it matters a lot. These aren't just...
Yeah.
They're not just little kids. It's not a Boy Scout camp.
Yeah.
This is
doing like
there's some
needle
weird
drugs.
stuff going on there.
There's weird stuff. These are not dust bowlers from Oklahoma trying to pick grapes. That are just homeless. These
I
are
mean, our
dangerous,
neighbor used to
potentially
get
mentally
naked a
ill.
lot.
Yeah.
Not my current neighbor. The neighbor on Pennsylvania Avenue.
Yeah.
Like if you got here in the morning, he was washing in the dew.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That guy.
The guy in the triangle?
Yeah. If you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You probably saw him naked at
I
once.
did.
You
A
could
few
admit
times. It's weird. Like he was moved, I think, by park police for a little bit, but he is definitely back.
Yeah.
And
Well, he's home.
He's home.
This is where he belongs.
He belongs there.
But he needs to find a different place to shower.
But he needs to figure out the shower thing. Like we need public showers.
Do you think Pratt's popularity was real in California, or was it real across the country that we were just kind of wish casting?
It was total wish cast.
Total wish casting. So you think he never even had a shot to make it in the top two?
I think he did have a shot to make it in the top two, and I think he probably would have were it not for rampant cheating.
Yeah.
Were it not for, to be fair to that lady who won, or who came in second place, it looks like, in the end, her constituents, the homeless and the drug addicted who don't have any idea what's going on, the criminally insane and the terribly disabled, did end up all voting for her. Using other people's addresses and other people's names.
Several times he...
That population is known for taking franchise very seriously and like high voter turnout.
Industriousness.
Yeah, just like getting
resourcefulness. Actually, quite
literacy
resourceful.
to fill out the ballot.
You never hear people described as the criminally insane.
The criminally
It's
insane.
like a Batman villain.
There are some wild men out there. And wild ladies, too. I don't want to discriminate. There's some crazy ladies.
Certainly.
If he had won, I know it's counterfactual. If he had won or placed in the top two in California, is that a bigger upset than Trump winning at 16 and 24?
Well, no, because it wouldn't have had the same impact. But actually, this might have an impact because it's all legal what they're doing. Well, it's not all legal, but the way that they're counting is legal. And it's drawing so much attention, and it's so shameless.
Yeah.
And it's not like Trump losing in 2020 where anyone who said, well, what happened in Philadelphia? What's going on in Pittsburgh was immediately shut down.
Yeah.
J6 and all this stuff. You're attacking our democracy. It's just a mayoral primary. So people, I think, feel more comfortable saying, all right, to talk to you as a liberal and a Democrat, this is undermining faith in elections. This is making people think that their vote doesn't matter at all in the end. And it's making people very uncomfortable. And you're uncomfortable if you'd admit it on an honest day after a beer with the guys. So maybe that will change. But otherwise, if he had won, he would have, even he said, I got 5 more months of beating up on this machine. Because he wasn't going to win in Los Angeles. That's a really progressive city.
Sure.
Same thing with Steve Hilton.
Yeah.
And the GOP of California is really good at holding luncheons and occasional conventions, but they're not like a political party like they used to be.
Yeah.
Really haven't been a political force in California since Reagan signed amnesty.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ronald.
Isn't that ironic?
That's been the end.
Yeah.
So they're kind of in a weak spot to capitalize on this. I hope it causes some real soul searching, though, and I hope it causes some federal investigations of the actual fraud. And a look into what is actually going on with these elections. Why does it take weeks, and why do such strange things happen?
You make a good point about it's easier to talk about at the mayoral level. I think on some level, everything that happened in 20, it's now become okay. Because the outrage about stealing elections and cheating was so big, and the pushback to that was so violent, that now we've kind of gotten over that hump of being worried about talking about it.
The Overton window is so shifted.
Yeah.
Molly Hemingway's book rigged that made even the politicians feel comfortable talking about it now. Like, wait, you gave me the words to use.
Yeah.
What I have to say stolen, I can say rigged. I feel more comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Like how politicians do this as opposed to pointing.
Yeah.
They feel more comfortable using rigged.
That's good.
And the Democrats are always talking about how it undermines faith in democracy. Well, this definitely does.
Yeah.
Anyone watching that says, well, what are we doing? This is fake.
I'd almost prefer them to stuff the ballot box so much like old vintage Tammany Hall in New York that it's like 140% of the electorate votes. Like, just make it grotesque.
Saddam Hussein style.
Yeah, Saddam Hussein's 100% or 130%. Like, they get more votes than eligible voters. Like, just do that. Don't pretend like you just found these boxes of ballots like they did in 20, like they're doing here.
Yeah, and everybody votes. That's the thing.
Yeah.
A lot more people vote than think. So every once in a while, like Hans von Spakovsky or someone will turn up, like, look at this dead voter who voted. But that's not because they're going through the graveyard registering dead people. It's because they're just filling out people's ballots.
Yeah.
And some
Exactly.
of them it's just really hard to deny it when it's like, that person died 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Explain that one to
It's
me.
much easier to go pick all the names of people in assisted living and hospice care and fill the ballots out for them. Harder story to tell to get away with. Person's literally dead and buried, but
The example I like to go back to is people forget that DeSantis won his first governor election only by a few points. And then in his first term, did everything he could to clean up the voter rolls.
yeah.
And then he crushed it in his second term. That wasn't only his popularity, although he was very popular. It's because he got a lot of the people off the rolls who shouldn't be voting,
Yeah.
right? Like, and then he won by 20 points, some absurd number. It can't just be because 20% more people loved him than the first time. It has to be because of the work he did to clean up those rolls.
In 2020, I thought that I was going initially. I thought there was going to be an earlier night. It was looking solid for President Trump to win re-election at first, and then it started to shift. And I realized I was actually be working till 2 a.m. and then renting a car and driving to Philadelphia. And it was interesting what I learned in Philly about how they actually do it. Where, in order to become appointed to the judgeship, you have to kind of come up through the politics and the machine and know the right people, represent the right people, do the right things. Then you get that job. And all they do is they make it extremely difficult for Republican vote watchers, ballot observers to come in. They'll show up to register. Oh, I'm sorry, the doors aren't open. Oh, yeah, we had to lock the front door. Oh, it was only a 1-minute opening. You couldn't actually, now you can't register. Or they'll get there and they'll be ejected to places they're allowed to be. And each time they'll call in the local police and the police will say, we need to go get an order from the judge.
Yep.
And then that'll be 2 hours that it takes. So the judge takes his time before the judge says, all right, you're allowed back in. And then they'll just kick them out again and go back and talk to the judge. And while they're doing that, this guy I talked to said it's called a blending room. And they're just mixing in ballots that shouldn't have been counted. And then they have the people outside with the printed signs, all the same sign, all the T-shirts, count every vote, because they've blended it in. And I couldn't figure out why this guy was telling me so much, this Italian guy. It was
We're talkative.
Clearly affiliated with the doc guys down in Philadelphia who used to run the city.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a Republican donor class guy the next day at lunch, and he said, well, it's because that class of Democratic machine has been boxed out by Philadelphia becoming so college-educated and so woke and so liberal. They don't, like the old dock worker union mob-affiliated Democrats are out.
Yeah.
They have to call Donald Trump to protect their Columbus statue.
Yeah.
No one needs them anymore. So, and the machine just continues functioning the way it always has. So these guys are willing to talk now because they're like, oh, you're cutting me out of the deal?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to talk to the Federalist or the caller or whatever.
Yeah.
We reported on this, but some people will still say if you talk about voter fraud, you're lying.
So like people think,
It's a
that's a good
system.
point. People think that like voter fraud has to do with hacking into the machine and changing votes. It's not. It's just old school, hard nose, ballot stuffing, finding ballots in a trunk at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Suppressing the opposite.
You are
people from
suppressing
voting.
other votes. It's like the Pistons in the 80s that were winning championships. They weren't necessarily the best team out there in terms of finesse and style, but
Hard
they
nose.
just kicked your ass for 4 quarters.
Yeah.
And they
Proper
won games.
supervision would blow it open.
Right. So like what were these like doc guys in Pennsylvania telling you about how they do it?
Well, he said it. I called it a machine, and he laughed and said it's more like an organism. You don't have to tell the lungs to breathe. You don't have to tell the heart to beat. It just knows what to do.
Yeah.
So there are the volunteers that go around and they'll collect the ballots and they'll fill out more and more ballots and they'll dump them in, and they will be often moved aside and taken aside. Like, there's something wrong with this ballot. We need to actually check it. But then in the period of time when the observers are out of the room, whoopsies, we mixed in a box.
Blending, yeah.
We don't know. We put it into the machine, and the machine makes it all anonymous. So what are we going to do? We'd have to disenfranchise real voters if we went in there. We can't just start the whole thing over. So Now it's all counted, count every vote sort of thing.
Yeah.
Where are they getting these ballots though? Like, is somebody filling out fake ballots? Are they
That
just
I don't remember.
bussing in homeless people and the criminally
But
insane?
people are filling out fake ballots
Yeah.
continuously, fake ballots. I talked to another person in Philadelphia who said she would repeatedly get there to her elections because she always voted in person and be told that she had already voted. And then she would have to go sign all these affidavits and spend another hour of her time
Yeah,
in
at
order
some
to
point
be
it's
like,
not worth it to fight.
yeah, it's like, no, someone voted for me.
Yeah.
But I didn't vote. I mean, I was caretaking my buddy's house in 2020 on Capitol Hill. He moved back to Montana. And if I opened his mailbox one time, there were 6 ballots in there. It was like former residents, him, his sister who'd lived there for a little bit, both of the downstairs guys who rented the apartment who like definitely weren't Trump supporters. I could have voted 6 times right there at those ballots and moved 6 more votes in Washington, D.C., committed federal fraud. I didn't do it. I moved them to the proper mailboxes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You know what's funny is my wife got a notice for jury duty in D.C., and we don't live in D.C., and so she called them up, said, like, how is this a thing? She said, well, you've been voting in D.C. for the last 6 years, which is funny to me because the arrogance of having to do voter fraud on behalf of Democrats in D.C., it's already like a 97%
what are you worried
Democrat
about?
town. What are they worried about?
Just running up the score.
It's just jury called it D.C. the day. I've been a citizen of Virginia for years now.
Yeah.
I wonder if I'm voting in D.C.
We're definitely voting.
Might be.
I know I personally voted 3 times for Donald J. Trump in D.C.
Nice.
So I was hoping to be on Hillary Clinton's list so I could take over the prison camps.
Yeah.
When we got sent there, but then he actually won, and I was like, all right, let's go with this.
All right. That's amazing. I got a Dem ballot chaser, or whatever you want to call him, harvester, reached out to me about a place I never lived and was like, are you planning on voting in this election or whatever? It's like, it was a border. It was Kansas City, right? So there's a Missouri side and the Kansas side. When I was in law school, I was on the Missouri side. I was hounded by this Dem ballot chaser to vote on the Kansas side, of which I never lived. And I hadn't even lived there in 15 years. So I sent it to our good friend Tom Jones. I was like, you should probably investigate this person. They're trying to like manufacture ballots in this swing district on the Kansas side.
They got some real soldiers on that team.
They do.
I kind of envy it.
Yeah.
The GOP ought to get their act together.
Yeah.
The GOP doesn't know what it believes in and doesn't actually believe what it claims to believe in, and also doesn't have the commitment to do whatever it takes to win.
Yeah.
They love losing.
They love it.
So
They're
if it's an organism and it's all acting independently, how do we fight that? Because there's no head of the snake, right? It's just cleaning up voter rolls. It's day of voting. It's no more month-long voting.
Yeah.
Paper ballots?
Yeah, no mail-in ballots.
Like, did this guy basically
Show your thumbprint like in Iraq or Afghanistan, wherever they had to get the purple, like, do a
federal
thumbprint.
observers, maybe people who can't just be bullied around by
this
local
guy
police.
that you talked to? He'd be great to have on our side to tell us, like, what are the things you need to do to stop the fraud?
Like, what are you looking for?
Yeah.
Because I bet if I walked in there and I was observing, I could have a magnifying glass and everything and a Sherlock Holmes hat. I wouldn't even know what to look for,
Right.
I bet.
I was an observer in an election once for a campaign I was working on because it was within a margin of error. So they did a secondary count the next day, and it's me and then a counterpart for the other side. I had no idea what I was looking for. I had no idea if there was fraud being committed in front of my eyes. But I was there because I was told to be there. But, like, you don't know the specificity. Like, the guy walking through with the box, what does that mean? Is he supposed to be doing that? We need a pro like your buddy in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, when you bring back Roger Stone.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he's still around. He's not retired. I don't think he's ever retiring.
No, a guy like that doesn't quit.
You know, I was watching when I was writing about Roger Stone one time. Years ago, I was going through the documentary footage or the surveillance footage of the Brooks Brothers riot when the election fight was going on in Florida. I recognized people.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, Brian Darling.
I saw Darling. I just resent that picture in a thread. I was like, that's Darling in the background.
That's
you can see
definitely
him.
Darling.
Yeah. It's so funny. It's like, you know, there's some bigger name people that we would all know in the front, and in the background you see Darling, like a profile shot. I'm like, I know that guy.
Raging through the vote counting center. We demand it. Brooks Brothers riot. We haven't had one of those in a while.
No.
I feel like you guys could lead it today, though. You're set.
We're dressed for it.
It looks very
dressed
sharp.
for it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind going down to Miami for a little bit.
Yeah, or Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
So speaking of white riots, sheesh.
Yeah, that is. Well,
They're like the last like northwestern Europeans that still
have any spunk.
Remember Parliament, how to be like a paramilitary against the government.
Yeah.
Like everyone else is kind of forgotten. Like there were probably some hard dudes throughout Europe in the 50s and 60s and 70s who did remember how to blow up a half track.
Yeah.
No, not many people know how to do that in France or other places now. Northern Ireland, they actually do.
Yeah, like in recent memory. The troubles were in all of our lifetime.
The daddies taught them.
Exactly. Yeah, that is kind of weird. Don't know how hard I want to go on this, but like there's a great, what is the Town, right?
Town, yeah.
That movie, The Town in Boston about
I'm going to Boston to Friday. Can't wait.
Well, in The Town, one of the characters says they thought there's no more hard white people left. And in general, in America, there's not like hard, scrapple white people left.
I wouldn't want to be invading an army in deer country.
Well, that's true.
Those
that's
guys,
true. Yeah,
those guys sit up in a tree for like 18 hours just to get one shot.
Exactly. They say like every deer season in Pennsylvania, it becomes the 4th largest or 5th largest army in the world is just Pennsylvania deer hunters.
These dudes are so committed. They like cover themselves in deer piss, like camo.
They'll do whatever it takes.
Like, well, man, I wouldn't stand a chance in an ambush against that guy.
But in like so-called civilized Northwest Europe and like postmodernist or postmodern that we are now, people are forgetting the case of Northern Ireland of sectarian, like in-your-face violence. Like those are people not to be trifled with.
So there's no faces you'll see. It's all the loyalists who were doing the marching. But a strange thing, the night of the first night of the riots is the Catholic youth came out and they were watching, and their leaders were watching from inside SUVs. They like to like pull up amongst the youth and whisper out the window, and they were kind of having a little bit of interaction, which is unusual. All of this spirit of camaraderie will probably vanish in July when the Protestants start dressing up in orange and banging their drums again.
Yep.
But right now,
we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah. Right now, they're thinking, all right, there's a foreign invasion that no one here signed up for, no one here enlisted for, no one here wants their neighborhoods to change. And Northern Ireland's not an economically vibrant place. It's a depressed city. It's got and there's a lot of anger and a lot of street violence still.
Drugs.
But these guys, a lot of drugs. These guys knew their MO was cover your faces, wear all black, no cameras. It's not like if you go to a UK reform rally, everyone's live streaming, no live streaming.
Yeah. In fact, the loyalist paras were saying, put those phones away, no filming. They were like enforcing their own rules. Like they knew what they were doing.
Yeah,
right?
It's a criminal operation.
Yeah.
They were burning out houses and cars, and it was targeted. And I don't think anybody was hurt, but the police had to evacuate a lot of different people. And they weren't going at the cops, because usually you just mindlessly scream and yell at the cops. These guys, no, they were there for very specific reasons.
It's interesting the native Catholic Irish were probably like, hey, don't like it so much when a foreigner invades your land and starts doing things you don't like. How do you guys like that? It doesn't feel so good. So that is an interesting moment. But I mean, what's the Nowak, Henry Nowak, who was murdered and cuffed while he was bleeding out? Was that London? It was in England.
It was in England.
But I think it was London, but it could have been another town. It's like these people are not going to stand up and take it much longer. Like it's an exhaustion. Western civilization exhaustion.
What was it about the Nowak thing? Because that's not what caused all these current riots that are happening in...
It was another one.
It was another one,
It was a
right?
beheading attempt by a
beheading.
Sudanese guy, I think.
Yeah.
Originally billed as a Somali, which is just too convenient for us. But
Caught on camera, signed someone's head off, who had been in France, by the way. He'd gotten out of his home country. And from there, he applied to political asylum in England. And that's the weird thing. It's like, if I was anywhere north of Italy or Spain, I'd be like, all right, you're safe now.
Yeah.
You don't have to come anywhere else.
Right.
Or how about this? Just no more asylum.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a thing that we're going to do anymore.
So wait, are the Catholics and Protestants actually working together on this?
It sounded like no, the Catholics were just sitting back watching.
Yeah, they were watching. There was a back and forth. There were people who would have fought normally who were having somewhat cheerful conversations.
About a decapitation.
Yeah, and there were
Attempted, I should say.
some of the provosts, older provosts, were heard talking about how maybe this is actually something that at least ought to unite the orange and the green. But the thing is, there's also the old guys who are saying, no, these guys are going to get organized again. They're going to get into these units again, and they may have this thing first, but we would be next.
Yeah,
and they don't want to see rearmament.
Right. Yeah, definitely. It's a guns down, glasnost right now, détente. But you're right. Once you become a hammer, everything's a nail. And so once the Sudanese or the asylum seeker process or the rape gangs is over, well, what do
it's like, all right.
We've armed up. What do we do now?
Got rid of the Sudanese head choppers.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Who else?
Yeah, let's get, we got some. We've got hundreds of years of unfinished business to deal with. Yeah. But it is weird that the asylum seekers would get to mainland Europe and then be like, you know what? Let's go to the UK, because you got to cross a huge body of water. It can't be that easy. Does UK have, and maybe we don't know the answer, does it have like even more generous welfare benefits, or why the UK is what I'm wondering.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Maybe.
I mean, people often flock to where they've got friends or relatives or
That's true.
communities. So if somebody was resettled there, then you're going to want to go there.
Yeah. That's interesting. It is weird. I'm going to be in England in a few weeks, and like, I don't speak Arabic, so I'm not sure
Well,
how
people get
I'm
around.
going to manage. But
Yeah.
it's like a kettle.
Don't send them this podcast. They won't. They'll just pop you at the airport.
I
See
know.
ya.
I know. We should publish this after I go there and back, because like I'll be not allowed in.
No, but it could be good. It could get some goodwill, some street credit here.
That's true.
Becky from England.
On the 250th anniversary of this country.
We're doing it again, boys. Talk about rearming.
Think of the views you would
muskets.
get for the pod if
I
you
know.
got arrested while
Arrested
over there.
and tortured by MI6. All right, let's do it. It'll be an
I mean, the
experiment.
greatest friends of the IRA back in the day were the Irish Americans sending it back.
sending them money.
It's like,
Yeah.
hey, we learned how to fight from Lincoln.
Yeah.
Remember they kept on trying to invade Canada?
Yes.
That was problematic.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm probably misremembering this, and I'm embarrassed to even ask. Did Congress get involved at all with helping the IRA, or
They
was
had
it the
some
exact
very
opposite?
vocal members. I think
Ted
Peter
Kennedy.
King.
Yeah.
Ted Kennedy.
Pete King. I forgot about Peter King.
Yeah.
That was his big thing.
After 9/11, like, I mean, when I grew up, they were collection jars.
Yeah.
They were, I mean,
For the
You grew up
IRA
in-
specifically.
for freedom.
For
Yeah.
Free. You grew
Yeah.
up in Boston area? Yeah, okay.
My favorite pub had a collection jar. I mean, I remember on my 21st birthday, which was after 9/11, not too long after. The bartender showed me his picture with the head of Sinn Féin at the time. A total communist. Sinn Féin sucks.
Yeah,
But,
they're communists, but yeah.
there was everywhere. And then 9/11 happened, and Americans were like, oh, I don't know if we like terrorism anymore. That wasn't cool.
Well, and then all the new terrorist financing laws, like you could absolutely get wrapped up in that.
Yeah.
Just putting some money in the hat for the boys back.
There was
back
a
to
surreal
Belfast.
scene where the parliament had to listen to Peter King come and visit and talk to them about the dangers of terrorism. And there's got to have been some members who are like, dude, you were like an open backer of the IRA. We remember that.
He's just in the back cleaning his FAL, just waiting for
Yeah.
the day to take it back out
There
again.
used to be a great SNL skit with Colin Quinn, Irish-American comedian, I think from Boston area, where they would do the House of Commons or whatever, and it would be like them yelling at each other in the gag, and then they would hear from the MP from Northern Ireland, and it was always Colin Quinn, and he'd be like, would the Prime Minister mind taking this package home with him? And there's like wires coming out of it. He would always, it was always the same bit from Colin Quinn. It was really good.
Yeah, those guys were hard. They tried to recruit my friend's dad out in Montana
To do what?
to be a sniper.
For the IRA?
Yeah.
To fly him back to Ireland.
Yeah, so the 60s. His dad was older. He's rest in peace. He's recently passed. But he was an incredible shot, and he was known as an incredible shot. And if you were like a low-level IRA guy, you wanted to get away, you'd probably go to Boston or something.
Yeah.
If the heat got too high. So these guys were out in Montana. Probably had some like real high heat.
Yeah.
To have to like lay that low. But his parents both passed when he was a young man, military age. And he was faced with the option. They're looking at this guy being like, well, he could take over the ranch, but I bet he's looking for some adventure. And he's an incredible shot, so why don't we tempt him? He's got nothing here right now. And fortunately, as opposed to getting killed by the SAS over there for a foreign conflict, he said, maybe I'll take care of the ranch and my family.
Smarter move.
Ranch in Montana sounds like
not bad.
about as good as it gets. Or yeah,
These are like it's right next to Yellowstone too. They have a helicopter. They deal with the local tribes. I definitely suspect that there's some Yellowstone some influence
Yellowstone
from these kind of people.
I'm a stock policeman or whatever. The cattle policeman is like, you get a badge and a gun. Like, there's so many layers of law out there between the reservation, federal law, state law, and then like weird stock keeping law where they arm these guys who just like count cows and make sure there's no rustling. The West is wild.
It is still wild in certain areas.
We're all from east of the Mississippi, and we don't realize like what federal land, like how wild it is out there.
It's strange.
It is strange. Like they have wars or had wars in the late 19th century about like grazing rights for sheep and cattle.
I mean, we've had armed conflicts with the federal government in the last 12 years.
The Bundys occupied a BLM, and that means Bureau of Land Management, not the other one. They armed occupation of BLM offices over grazing permits.
How did that end up? Like, what happened?
They got away with it.
Did they just touch gloves and say, like, we don't want to kill each other?
Eventually, at the end, they kind of just talked it down.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to Koresh or Ruby Ridge the place again.
Can't branch Davidian and them again, so they
because of cameras. You can't really crack down in the West anymore, or really anywhere with cameras.
You know, it's funny. Not Koresh. Who was the other gentleman who the
Weaver?
Randy Weaver. Just for whatever reason, I went back and looked at the Senate hearing where Weaver testified. Now, obviously, his wife and I believe
one son,
and while
the family
dog,
and the dog.
Yeah, of course, ATF.
The wife was shot while she was holding one of the kids.
Yeah,
and then one of his sons were killed, and of course, the dog were murdered. And I went back and I watched the hearing in the Senate. There was a lot of the senators then that are still senators now. Few of them have retired. But anyway, the difference in how they talked to Randy Weaver then, whereas how they would talk to somebody like him now, was totally different across the board.
There was respect.
There was respect and saying, I'm so sorry what happened to your family. These sorts of things should never happen. You're an American and you deserve to be treated with, the rights under the Constitution. They were almost apologetic and not on his side, but they said he was done wrong.
Yeah,
and
they did kill his wife and his kids.
His kid, his
dog.
But
you know what? If that happened nowadays, they would say, "Why are you a terrorist?"
Yeah, Chris Murphy and Corey Tears Gardner would be getting sound bites.
And a couple of Republicans,
and most of the Republicans.
Yeah, a lot of. It just blew my mind. Across the dais, they were respectful to this man for what happened. And they answered some of his questions that he asked them. It was a totally different vibe than today, where he'd be the presumptive, racist and domestic terrorist. Totally different.
Man, I almost miss the glory days of the 90s. It was completely screwed up. I mean, between Timothy McVeigh and David Koresh and the Randy Weaver stuff and OJ driving in his white Bronco. But I understood that fight. Sort of, and I got the craziness of it. The stuff that's going on now, I just can't even wrap my head around.
It's getting crazier and crazier.
It's just getting so weird. And now they're sprinkling, by the way, aliens are real. Not really, but maybe.
And fairly made a blip.
Yeah.
People are like,
it's okay, whatever. That doesn't even, hit the top 10. It's like alien crap.
A bishop, was it a bishop that lost his spot because he said they're not aliens, they're demons?
An exorcist.
An exorcist?
An independent exorcist affiliated with the archdiocese.
He's an independent? He's not an official exorcist?
Well, he was an official exorcist, but he had his own institute. He wasn't attached to so there's one of the Catholic exorcists of the archdiocese, Monsignor Pope, is not too far from here.
Yeah.
He's got his own parish church. Yeah. But this one is associated with, I think, the St. Michael the Archangel Institute. This might have been what it was called. And he just got a little far over his skis. But I was also surprised.
You think so?
Well, I don't necessarily think he's wrong, but he's a knight of one of the world's last absolute monarchies, probably the West's last. Yeah. So you have to be strict in what you say to the public, and you can't go out there seeking clicks, spreading stuff that hasn't really been figured out yet.
Yeah.
But, he's also a former naval intelligence officer, so he had some real good ideas about the weird stuff we've been seeing, and I don't think the church has said it's not true.
Yeah, I just thought it was ironic. The last thing this town needs is one less exorcist.
Yeah, seriously.
I know,
it's a good point.
You got to fight with the army you have.
It's a hard job. It's a terrible job.
Yeah. You said something very interesting, and it's an interesting comment or concept rather that I've never thought of, is that you viewed priests as knights of the last chivalric order in the West?
Something like
Can
that,
you
yeah.
expand upon that? Is that a Bedford original idea?
I guess Europe kind of came up with the whole concept of
Yeah.
the whole thing. But
Yeah.
you got the bishops as the lords and the princes who ought to be. I was really angry during 2020 because so many of the bishops and cardinals were subservient to the
Rolled over,
politicians.
yeah.
When they ought to consider themselves equal to the politicians, lords of a different realm, and they shouldn't. They should not just bow down and say, "Well, whatever the local magistrate says." Absolutely not. You're a prince of the church,
Right.
and so I was trying to, in the fly of in the moment, to come up with something that the priest would be.
Yeah.
And that's somewhat of a night
And they're
class,
like the night class.
especially exorcists who are on the front lines.
They are on the front. They certainly are. Interesting.
How often-
That is fascinating. You should develop that more and definitely write that all out,
Deal.
because I would read that, and I'm sure a huge audience would be into that.
You know Monsignor Pope pretty well, right?
Yeah, I've lost touch with him in the last few years, which I hate since I moved out of the neighborhood. But he married us, and he's a friend.
How often does he get called out for an exorcism?
Often.
Often.
Yeah, there's a lot more going on. Although there are local parish priests will deal with the more minor things like hauntings or this or that. Things have to rise to his pay grade, but he'll get referrals too from some of the Protestant pastors around town, who will basically say, like, this kind of seems like something the Catholics have a lot of expertise in. So we're going to send you over there. And he's told me some of the stories, which are just bone-chilling.
Yeah.
But it's not glorious. It's not exciting. He said it's more like being a garbage man, and it takes a big toll on your psyche. I mean, the movie The Exorcist in the book is based on a true story in Washington, D.C. that changed exorcism rules in the United States after that, where they would never again send in a priest who was so young. And solo.
They always have. I know Ripperger. I think I'm pronouncing that right. The guy from Denver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he was like, "Yo, we have rules. We don't go in we have help. We don't go in solo."
Yeah, like they'll go in now with lay people too, and they need someone there who knows the possessed. And the first thing that they're going to do is run a series of tests to try to figure out. The first thing is this person suffering a mental breakdown?
Right.
Because if you are suffering in serious emotional distress or mental distress, then there's things that the church can help you with. But an exorcism is not going to help you at all.
Yeah.
So they need to figure that out first. And there's a series of steps that they'll go through to find that out. And having people who know you there is one of the crucial aspects.
I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions is people think day one a priest goes in there and starts throwing holy water on you. It's the opposite. Actually, you brought up The Exorcist. In the beginning of that movie, if you remember, they start running a bunch of tests on this girl, like in a hospital setting.
Yeah.
Right? That's what kind of makes it creepy, is how realistic it all is. And they put her in a CAT scan machine from back in the day, and a psychologist. There's a team of doctors trying to figure it out. And then it goes to the priest because everything else doesn't work. We have a friend of ours who sells homes in the DMV area, mostly in Maryland. And it was like the day his client was going to sign for a house. And they were just doing a final inspection. They go in the backyard, they pull aside some ivy. I kid you not, they saw some sort of engraved in the wall or a tablet, a whole satanic thing.
Jeez.
From the Church of Satan or whatever it is they call themselves. But it wasn't just like written in chalk or some gag. It was like a real deal, sort of like
a shrine,
like a tablet or a shrine or an altar. So
that'd be a deal breaker for me.
that's a bit.
I'd pass
you're
on
not
that house.
So obviously his clients pulled out, but this friend of ours is very devout Catholic. Called the local priest, brought him over, and they did a whole blessing. And I don't know if you exorcise a house or not, but they blessed the house and obviously removed all those materials. But that's within 20 minutes of where we are right now. So
it's here.
Yeah.
It's everywhere, in fact.
Monsignor Pope is one of the top 5 priests I've ever met in my life.
Me
Great
too.
orator.
I think he's a saint.
He's one of the best orators from the pulpit I've ever seen in my life. He's brilliant. He's just got it at his fingertips. He's well read, and he's fearless, which I guess you'd have to be a exorcist.
I think he said some of the signs are if you have a visceral physical reaction to holy images like the crucifix or an image of Mary,
All Protestants are like, okay.
I'm glad you said it, not me.
but not like I don't like that.
Yeah.
Like I don't think she's very important biblically. It's not like that. It's,
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
And incredible strength. She saw a guy who was a former D1 college football player get thrown into the ceiling by a little old lady.
You saw this?
Yeah, because it was one of the parishioners who came in with him, and she was being violent.
Wow.
And she just tossed him. She knowing languages that you do not know. It's not like, some people sometimes start to speak other languages that they were exposed to as kids after some kind of mental trauma or stroke.
Yeah, like a head injury.
Like, not that. It's got to be something real. Like, why are you yelling at me in Aramaic?
Yeah, it's like no one knows Aramaic, right?
And like very specific memories. It's not like you really let your parents down in life. It's like, on this date, when your mother was waiting for you at this home, you did this and you did that, and she still thinks about it, and she died thinking it. It's like that kind of thing.
So accusatory stuff.
Yeah, and very
they
specific.
say Satan is like the head accusator, right?
Yeah.
He accuses the saints face to face with Jesus.
So it's
Yeah.
like, this is maybe another dumb question. Why isn't any of this recorded?
I don't know if it is.
Like, I'm sure it's like a sense of like propriety from the church's perspective that they don't record it. There's a lot going on in the room, and maybe it's. I just feel like if people saw this stuff, it would change people's minds about everything. But maybe it's just not proper to film it.
Maybe it's not proper to film it. I know that the more and more exorcisms we've seen are going out and telling people and writing about it and saying, like, because I've heard from Monsignor Pope, he's no longer hiding. Years ago, the devil used to hide in the shadows, and he says now it's not, and it's not hidden anymore, and it's getting. And I asked him after 2024, when it seemed like things were going better for a little bit, I said, "Has that changed?" And he said, "No, it's not changed at all." But they have to be really careful with what they say and what they show because of privacy, I'm sure, propriety, and like as we just saw with the exorcist who was relieved of his duties in the archdiocese, you have to be really careful what you say and not get ahead of what the church has decided on these sorts of things.
Is there even embarrassment's not the right word, but is there a reticence on the church to even acknowledge that the exorcisms are going on and that spiritual warfare is real? Like how vocal is the church leadership? Like, oh yeah, exorcisms happened every single day.
They weren't for years.
Yeah, they were kind of hidden, right?
Yeah.
Almost an embarrassment. It's strange that now, like, so many people, like, I think there's been a spiritual awakening post-COVID. I don't think that's necessarily good. I think it's like you were saying, like, Satan and his minions were hiding for so long, and now they're just more open. That is a spiritual awakening. I would say that's a negative one, but like something happened.
Well, our young priest
COVID.
class is ready for combat too.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I was growing up in Boston, a priest meant that you had automatic trust with the family. You were automatically promoted in the community. You were a respected member. And then after what the devil did to the church in the 60s and 70s and some of the 80s, and that all came out, it was it's no longer an automatic promotion. I mean, a lot of people would look at you with unease. Like, I just took another test today. I have to take a test every month in order to have access to school kids at my kid's Catholic school.
Yeah.
In order to be able to chaperone on field trips and things, which is largely so I could help spot predatory activity or grooming activities, which can be hard to spot. So the young men who joined the priesthood weren't doing it to get ahead. And it's not like they were doing it like maybe you would have in an early age in America to hide your sexual proclivities or something, because you don't have to hide them anymore. There's a parade for you. There's a month for you.
There's a church for that. It's called Methodist.
And you could, so these young guys are doing it for spiritual combat, and they're ready.
Yeah.
And it's changed in a good way. The young priests they've skewed, as the New York Times wrote it, from 80% or 85% liberal to a complete and total reversal of that, where they would consider themselves on religion and some of them on politics.
Yeah.
A lot of them on politics, more politically conservative.
I know we just had a sort of a changing of the guard of the priests at our church. The older one, perfectly nice guy, very faithful, but he was in his 60s or 70s. Maybe I'm aging him too much. He was replaced with a priest who is probably under 40. It's like a 180 in terms of not, obviously all the masses are the same, the priests are all doing the same thing, but all of the great, and I mean this respectfully, the great pomp and circumstance you expect from a church is just, there's tons of incense.
Smells and bells.
Smells and bells. He brought back kneelers in the church. You have the option now to receive it directly on the tongue while kneeling. He does something, I don't know what it's called, but he will take the host. What's the bad Catholic? What's the is it a monstrance? Thank you. Yeah, not even Catholic, and you knew that. He takes the monstrance, and he literally walked the entire perimeter of the neighborhood because he said, "Look, we're here for everybody, not
For
just
Corpus Christi?
No, this is a couple months ago, so I could have it wrong. But he walked the entire neighborhood. He said, "Look, we're here for everybody, not just the people who attend our church." And he is just way more into the things that you would expect a Catholic priest to do. And it's because he is younger and he's come up at a time where all that stuff was starting to be lost. And he is absolutely preparing himself and everybody else.
They're in cassocks.
Yeah.
And last night at the BWI airport, I walked by like 25 monks, all of them in brown robes. I'm not sure what friars. I'm not sure what brotherhood they were. I'm not well versed enough to know that. But I the head shaved on top even. I was like, oh man, these young men are based.
Yeah.
They're not here to go down to help the communists in Nicaragua. They're here to fight the devil, and I love it.
That's awesome. Yeah, back to my point is I think something happened in 2020.
Yeah.
A Rubicon was crossed or whatever. We saw dark, ugly things in 2020 with COVID and the church's response. I mean, just look at what happened in Canada.
Ugly.
Canada is
literally burning the churches.
Yeah, burning the churches. All the freedom trucker stuff. They froze their assets.
Over bodies found in graveyards.
Yeah.
They burned it. And it turned out they weren't even bodies. They were
That was
stones.
largely overblown, right?
Yeah, it was completely overblown. There was no evidence of it. And by the way, John Paul II had apologized for mistreatment in the church, in the government-funded churches, and the mistreatment was completely blown out of proportion. The whole thing. Remember, they tried to cast St. Juniper Serra's bones into the sea in Los Angeles. They attacked the mission where he was because he came with the Spanish. And they're like, he's a conquistador, and it's like, well, there were some baddie Spaniards, but he was not among them. He fought against them many times.
Here's the way I look at the Spanish coming to the Americas. I think of that meme where there's a guy about to sacrifice somebody on a mountaintop, and there's a Spanish conquistador coming, and he goes, "All right, this stops right now.
Yeah.
It's over. You're gonna get civilized."
Yeah. The story of the conquest of America is a bloodthirsty expansionist empire obsessed with gold and the Spanish. They had some rough men, though. It's a hard
Well,
men.
when you read, I can't remember who the writer. He's probably not cool anymore, but Victor Davis Hanson.
Yeah, he's still cool. He's so
I
cool.
love that guy. I don't know what his take is on Iran or whatever, but the new MAGA people, the new right people hate him or whatever because he's a boomer. But he's awesome, and he wrote about Hernan Cortez a lot, and dude had 30 guys with steel blade made in Toledo, and
3 ships,
burned them. It's it's all or nothing, and they just cut this empire of millions of people to pieces.
Because all their slaves rose up too.
Yeah.
Because they have to. If you're sacrificing that many people a day, you're not just going to take them from your little home city.
No, you're
You go out to
conquering
the
other
countryside,
tribes.
Yeah.
Mayans are taking Incas are taking Aztecs.
So those guys were ready to fight.
Oh my God. There was 30 of them, and they just charged whatever Mexico City is. It used to be a floating village of the whatever god, and they just charged in. There was one causeway going in. They're yeah, we got 30 guys, a couple gunpowder things, and swords.
They had a few thousand natives.
And just went to town on them.
There was naval battles there.
Yeah.
They had for a while at the archives the paintings. I think there were 6 giant paintings of the conquest of the Americas that tells it from the beginning. And it's just incredible. It's ever seen those grand paintings in the National Gallery that tell a whole story of an age?
Yeah.
It was that. And I couldn't believe the archives exhibit was actually super upfront about stuff. They're here's a little carved figurine of a priest. He is wearing the skin of a virgin who was sacrificed, and he would wear it until it rotted off to increase fertility.
Yeah.
And I'm
How'd that work?
Huh. That doesn't seem cool.
Well, I'm sure he was.
That's not cool
I'm
at
sure
all.
he was just trusting the science on that one.
Yeah, I just trust the science.
Yeah.
What do they do for the crops? Jeez.
If it doesn't rain for a couple of weeks here, some serious trouble. Do we want to get into the Department of War's list?
Yeah, what do you
Is
got?
that a can of worms?
That's a huge can of worms.
I didn't realize how many. So I got some good Mormon friends.
Yeah, we all do.
We all love Mike Lee. None of us like John Curtis. And I've got a lot of ex-Mormon friends who are like much harder than I am on the Mormons. But it seems to me you can't really reject the Council of Nicaea.
And call yourself a Christian.
No, that's kind of the basic stuff
That's
there.
like...
It's like, let's decide what's in the Bible. Let's figure this out. And what we all believe, all come together, the doctors of the church. But I just posted online, it's like, it's the Trinity.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
all
boy.
these people, every time I looked at my phone over the weekend, I rarely tweet on the weekends, but I would have 20 plus notifications of people saying, this was made up post-biblically.
Yeah. They're
It's
like,
like,
where's
well,
the Trinity in the Bible? And it's like, that's 300 years after.
I was like, I thought the center of your guys' religion was post-biblical
Yeah. It's like,
in America.
Yeah.
With a new book and a new prophet.
But you had to know from the beginning when this list came out, it was going to get walked back and they were going to get added back in. There was no way this was going to stand.
Someone was trying to sneak it by.
Well,
Some great
or start a fight.
Some good deep stater.
What was shocking to me is, and maybe this is going to sound really out of touch, is I didn't even know that Mormons wanted to be considered Christian.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that was their angle.
I remembered it from the Romney campaign, but I wasn't sure if they really felt it or they were just really interested in getting elected.
Yeah, I figured the latter. I didn't know that was like part of their identity, and I was shocked.
Jesus
by
Christ
this.
of Latter-day Saints.
Yeah, but I mean, you could write Jesus Christ on anything. It doesn't mean it's Christian, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I just thought they were like borrowing a little Jesus Christ
didn't
here.
know
but
they felt so strongly.
We've got our own thing. I was reading the comments to your posts, and it was all like all denying the Trinity, and like it was just like, well, the Trinity's not in the Bible. It's like, really? I kind of remember the Bible saying baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. 3, Trinity. Like maybe the word Trinity isn't used.
If you have seen me, you have seen the Father.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going back to the Father, but when I'm gone, he's going to send a helper, a counselor, that will remind you of the things I taught you, Holy Spirit. But like, maybe the word Trinity is not in the Bible, right? It's a concept.
I've had the pleasure of working with a lot of Mormons. It's just the way my career in DC worked out. And I found them that whatever was sort of going after them, whether it was the South Park guys, right?
Yeah.
With the TV episode. Book of Mormon.
Then the really successful Broadway play that was
The super
kind of tough on them.
It was kind of tough. Or just if you were in like a social setting with them and you were really going after them hard on some of these theological questions, they always took it gracefully. They
happiest
never
warriors on earth.
They never let you see them sweat ever. And I just thought that was really endearing about them. I don't know why in this instance they had a totally different response. It wasn't well, we disagree with you, let me tell you why. Maybe Mike Lee actually a little bit with his posts was sort of more that like happy warrior sort of thing, but there was like this go around was angry. And I don't know if it's because this was like an official government proclamation and they see government proclamations
They have a rough
against.
history with
They
the
got
feds.
a pretty rough history with being, moved around the country.
And
but
governors from Missouri.
yeah, it was like a very different response this go around.
Yeah, I think it's all getting like that. Like, I don't know. I know that a lot of my friends who grew up in different smaller denominations of Christianity, like they knew they didn't like Catholics. But we all hung out and had cigars, and we generally agreed on the same things when here. And it wasn't until Instagram Reels that all the Catholics suddenly realized, like, wait a second, you guys really don't like us, huh? Yeah, we hadn't even thought of you.
Yeah.
Well, now we're going to do Reels, too, about how you're wrong. And like everyone's... I mean, I used to make fun of this all the time, but I went on parental leave, paternity leave. I mocked it until I did it, and I actually kind of loved it. But I didn't have time to read
That's your
essays.
Scott Pelley moment.
I know.
Crying moment.
I know.
I regret not doing it, but yeah.
It was awesome. But back in the day when my guys would go on, I'd ask them how their recovery was going, if they're able to walk yet. And it's like, how are you doing, Mike? Are you? How's the scars?
How's the healing?
Yeah, how's the healing?
Yeah.
Mocked the hell out of them, and then I did it shamelessly. But I thought I'd have time to read all these books. It's so stupid. And like I got all my news through Instagram Reels. Right. So to me, like England was ready to pop off.
Yeah, I'm told they're on the brink of civil war. I'll
Crusades
tell you.
any day now, any day.
Right.
It's like Turns out Instagram is maybe letting people from other religions know what all the other religions think about each other.
Yeah.
And turns out it just comes as a shock to secularists. We really don't agree on some basic things. And religious people are serious about it.
Yeah, go figure. Go figure. So you're telling, this is groundbreaking, TikTok is not actually the pulse of where we are on things? Again, I'll report back to England. You might see me up there wearing like a St. George medallion, and I've got like their flag, and I want to see charging the Tower Bridge.
Like you're reporting from the Middle East. I want to see you with a bulletproof vest, a helmet, reporting live for the show.
Yeah.
Chris will come back next week, and we're going to hit you with questions about like what the violence is like in England.
It's like, I didn't put on the uniform, but I went to combat for my country. I'm Scott Pelley. I'm the most important person I know. I'm the bravest. He is. That's the takeaway from that sit down with that strange woman in her weird glasses, was that Scott Pelley is the most important and brave person Scott Pelley knows. That was the takeaway. And that is what our ruling class, every one of them feels that way.
How dare you question
Yeah,
him?
how dare you question
How
him?
dare you?
Yeah. So you're actually like, well, you're not a WASP. You're a WASC.
Yeah.
Catholic, but your lineage is Northeast.
Northeast, English,
Anglo-
Irish, Scottish.
Yeah.
With a smattering of French. Basically Britain
Yeah.
post-conquest.
And like he's cultural appropriation, your culture from the Northeast, and kind of doing a William F. Buckley thing.
I've been to his towns. I mean, their names is like take a left on Scott Street and then right on Hank Road. And I'm like, we don't have names like that in Massachusetts. It's Thoreau, and everything's got multiple syllables.
Sure.
Either that or it's Indian tribes that we
Yeah.
pretend to respect in the Northeast. But like you notice, you're like, where is that? Where is this tribe?
Yeah. What's a Missa?
The upper middle class neighborhoods seem to be named after tribes that don't exist anymore.
Where did all those people go?
What'd you do, England?
All right. I asked somebody like, well, what are they doing in Mount Rushmore? Oh, nothing. It's like, it should be something amazing at Mount Rushmore. Incredible stuff in D.C. Something awesome at Continental Hall or whatever in Philadelphia. There
Constitution Hall.
Yeah, Constitution Hall, not Continental Hall. Great.
Well, they have,
student
I
history.
guess they have exhibits, but I don't know. I was looking at the roster of bands that ended up canceling, which was an unimpressive roster to begin with.
Why do they
unimpressed.
get these has-beens?
Because they think that this, and maybe it is, they think it's all about Trump. So we have to stick it to Trump. Instead of the correct, if we were a proper country with good elites and a good culture, we would say, no, this is actually about 250 years of American exceptionalism. This is not about one man.
Yeah, how about the end? And like, let's get the National Symphony Orchestra out and
Yeah.
play some of the great American pieces, or
Yeah.
the great pieces about America. Let's do some of the great operas, like Porgy and Bess on the National Mall. Let's
Yeah.
put some Gershwin out there.
Yes. Why weren't you on the committee?
They never asked. I think you needed to give a lot of money.
I find that shy. Well, that
I
does,
don't get money
that
anyway.
does make sense.
That answers my question as to why they botched it.
Yeah, because
Put the plays out there, like great American plays. This Town, The Death of a Salesman.
Yes.
Like public performances that aren't Milli Vanilli.
yeah, the whole point of Milli Vanilli, maybe people forgot this, is that they were lip syncing.
Yeah.
They weren't actually the artists.
That's why they're famous.
That's how they got famous. And then VH1.
Vanilla Ice, though,
Yeah, but-
he's sticking through. He's the only performer still going,
God
right?
bless Vanilla Ice.
Yeah.
That
National
guy's a
treasure.
soldier.
But like maybe, and the fact that you say you've got to give it a lot of money to have a say on how we celebrate ourselves, I think part of the problem is our elites are unimpressive. Like say what you will about Carnegie and Rockefeller. John D. Rockefeller built the University of Chicago. Carnegie put libraries across the country. They're redoing a Carnegie library just over here. It's a beautiful building. Now, they're going to paint it a rainbow flag or whatever, but it is a physically beautiful building. Our elites actually used to pour into this community, into this country, and make amazing stuff.
Even David Koch did some cool stuff
Yes.
with the Opera House in New York. and
Exactly.
some big medical wings and museums.
You want to know something
You don't
sad?
see it anymore.
No. You want to know something sad about a Carnegie library? There's one near Chinatown that's been turned into an Apple store.
Yeah,
How sad is that?
That was
It is a
brutal.
gorgeous building in a triangle.
Yeah.
Right. That is. It's.
That's an
it's the,
Apple store now?
It's a building, and then it's got
it's a
a
really
huge,
cool Apple store. It's just not a
Yeah,
cool
it is
library
cool.
anymore.
and then it's got a huge park next to it where like you could go and like bring your kids and pets or whatever. And the building is beautiful. Inside, it's just a sterile Apple store.
It was pretty beat up inside, so it would have taken some work, but it's sad.
Do what Trump did to the old post office before he turned it into the Trump Hotel.
Yes.
You remember the old post office was garbage inside.
You couldn't even see anything because it was all construction equipment to
disgusting.
protect you from its collapse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just can't believe they screwed. They only had 250 years to prepare for this.
And all these mansions in parts of D.C. and areas that have become more difficult to live, where the rich don't really want to live. But even the ones in areas that are nice, they subdivide them into condos where people rent instead of living. And it's like, man, I wish our elites, as opposed to walking around in Gucci sweatpants, would actually care about this country and get back to it. I just got back from Grand Rapids, where I was meeting with the DeVos family. And we stayed at a hotel that they had built, the grandfather. It was his final big project. Across the street was an old, beautiful hotel that they had reinvigorated.
Yeah.
And they knew that was a money loss leader. Passing by on their avenues, passing by different public works that they had built, venues, parks.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's great. Or the guy from Under Armour who tried to remake Baltimore.
Yeah.
Until they kicked him out because he wasn't focusing enough on the business.
Right.
And then Baltimore burned itself down.
Yep.
But he was doing great work, opening up hotels, restaurants, public areas for people to hang out.
So there are some.
Yeah, there's not enough.
We should demand more. You think about like Jeff Bezos, his wife got half of his fortune or whatever when they divorced.
To donate to Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, to donate to political causes and Planned Parenthood. Like, that's our elites. Like, that's what we get.
All the richest women in the world are through divorce, and they're all huge. And the American ones are all huge Planned Parenthood.
Is that actually so that the richest women in the world are all of
Yeah,
divorce?
it's like her and Gates, Melinda Gates.
Melinda Gates.
And they take their, I mean, granted, like, Bill Gates was off doing his own nasty things and still is.
Well, we all saw the Epstein emails. We know what Bill Gates was up to.
Bill Gates is a bad guy.
He might not be on the level.
Yeah. Something about him gives me the creeps.
You gotta be careful when nerds get all that power.
Yeah, exactly. What the hell was he doing in Africa all the time? He was doing weird gain of function stuff, right? And mosquito nets, but they were. Do we need to get into the Amazon mosquitoes? What about? They're going to release like 1 trillion mosquitoes.
Oh, in Florida and California?
Genetically engineered mosquitoes, I think, to kill bad mosquitoes. Is there a good mosquito?
I think there are some mosquitoes that are dangerous to pregnant people and some mosquitoes that just make me miserable.
There's like the Zika virus carrying ones. So maybe they are actually getting, maybe this is going to turn out good.
Yeah, except for Google's in charge?
Yeah.
Google's in charge of this?
Maybe, I thought it was Amazon, but maybe it's Google.
We're all going to end up unable to eat red meat. That's what's going to happen in the end.
So we're about over an hour. You can tell me if this is a lame question or not. It's kind of a lame question. But you're a journalist. You were talking about TikTok, everything moving quickly. You're an editor. How do you figure out like what to write on and what's going to pop? Because I would go crazy if I were you. And I was like, I have to do some research and reporting on an issue. And then 2 weeks from now, a month from now, no one may care about this issue.
It's hard.
How do you figure this out?
Is it instinct?
It's an instinct that you learn over time, but it's also especially living on the social medias or having people who really do, who are catching what people are popping off about and what's starting to explode, what the youth are talking about earlier and earlier, and being able to follow up on that. But still to be the first person there is huge. Like to be the reporter who actually got to Springfield, Ohio, right after the bus accident when illegal immigrants slammed into a school bus, killed a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
The first people who were there, who were just waiting for something, were the ones who ended up getting that story, whereas all the goofballs who came in after it would become political were just not able to actually do any reporting. The town is shut down. But some of the times you're still going to do a deep dive. Like I've got a new issue of Frontier coming out. It's going to print this week, where what started off as like a 2,500 word, carefully researched piece on how Richard Nixon is back became like a 6,000 word cover story about how Richard Nixon is back. And that was just months of calling old Nixon hands and finding the historians and the reporters who had been working on it. And then digging through Instagram where Nixon maxing, Sigma Nixon.
The kids love Nixon. They
kind of love him.
It's awesome.
What do they love about him? Why is he back?
Well, I think there's a couple things. One, he's obviously a brilliant statesman.
Yeah. Probably one of our best in the modern era.
Yeah, so there's some clips. One I just saw that was released last week about Nixon weighing in after his presidency on the dangers of the CIA. It was just a straight to camera, him talking to an interviewer.
Yeah.
That people that had tens of thousands of views and retweets and likes just from that. But they're starting to realize, and all the things that we learned about Nixon, railroaded by the deep state, overthrown, most popular president in modern American history, out of power within 2 years, they start to think, maybe there was something wrong with the media. Maybe the deep state actually wasn't up for it. Declassification, it's been 50 years, so now we're learning about how the military actually tried to overthrow Nixon in some ways and were spying on the Oval Office directly. They had spies in the Oval Office, actually, interesting enough, from Nixon's right. These weren't like liberal deep staters in the military.
Were these like Goldwater people, or?
They were Vietnam Cold Warrior types who were concerned with his foreign policy moves.
Going to China.
They had spies taking his messages and learning what they were actually up to and transmitting it back to the Pentagon. And Nixon didn't expose it. He was really adamant it never get exposed because he didn't want to undermine faith in the military, even though he knew that they were targeting him.
What a patriot.
That's a leader right there.
That mixed with technology, and the media has changed. I mean, it used to be the Washington Post, New York Times, NBC, ABC, CBS, and they were the guardians of this boomer cathedral of Woodward's a great guy, Bernstein was a great guy, Ben Bradley's a great guy. Turns out that those guys were actually, especially Woodward.
He was an intel officer with CIA ties, wasn't he?
He claims he was not naval intelligence. He just did communications work for the admiral working in naval intelligence. That's where he met Deep Throat, the deputy director of the FBI, who took this cub reporter aside and was like, "We're going to overthrow the president." And the Boomer Cathedral is built over this whole thing.
That is the American myth that we have all been told since that happened.
Yeah, guarded by the posts, guarded by there's a movie, All the President's Men. A whole class of reporters went from guys who had ink stains and were a trade, might not have gone to college, to what we have now, the Scott Pelley's and these awful class of elites. But that's changing. Their power is weakening. The defenders of Watergate are no longer taken as seriously, or they passed away. So we've gone beyond the partisanship of it. And people are starting to look back at the history and say, wait a second, this guy got taken down by over a crime he didn't even know about?
Yeah.
And it's the smoking gun that even John Dean, his top traitor, had said actually wasn't really what they were talking about. That wasn't the smoking gun. Just Nixon couldn't recall.
Yeah.
It's like the tape of him supposedly suppressing the Watergate thing.
He was talking about something else.
Yeah, he was trying to protect, on someone else's suggestion, a couple prominent Democratic donors to his campaign. And they knew it already how closely tied the CIA turns out to have been to Watergate.
Yeah.
So they were like, well, can't the CIA just tell the FBI to back off on this one and on this part? And the DOJ had already said it was outside the scope. So it wasn't a smoking gun. It was just 2 years later they're listening back to it like, that doesn't sound good.
There's no more insufferable movie that Hollywood makes than when it makes it about the work that journalists do.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, they're always the worst.
There's All the President's Men. There's a few others. There was one that came out like 10 or 15 years ago called Spotlight. I think that's about the church again.
I couldn't watch it.
These are unwatchable because it's just a slurp fest.
And I knew some of the reporters who helped expose that awfulness in the Boston Archdiocese, but I couldn't watch the movie. I also don't like to watch movies about trauma I've lived through. I don't know. It's like I don't want to watch the Boston Marathon on film.
Yeah.
The bombing. No thanks. I don't need a 9/11 movie right now. Maybe like an Afghanistan war movie or something. But
on the opposite, like a happy version of that is The Last Dance about the Bulls three-peat.
Oh, yeah.
And all that stuff. Everyone's like, you're a Bulls fan. You grew up in Chicago. Why didn't you love it? It's like, I lived it.
Yeah.
I wasn't on the court. But
but I might as well have been.
But it's like, that is such an incredible memory to me. How, like, I don't want to relive that through a different director or a producer that, although it was actually Michael Jordan, putting them on the scale. Like, I don't want to relive it differently. Like, it was awesome. It was an incredible time to be alive. I don't want someone else to tell this story that I've, like, told myself. So I get that. Trauma or positive things. Like, just stop faking our stories and making it about Hollywood.
Yeah.
You know, like that movie Argo with Ben Affleck where he, like, saves the Iranian hostages. That's not true. I have no facts to say that's not true, but like if Hollywood is patting themselves on the back that they're brave and they saved the day, then I know it's
probably not true.
Like it just doesn't smell
immediately
right.
Dismiss it. The Odyssey. We'll see.
We already talked about. Oh no,
we didn't talk about
the Harry
it.
Potter series.
We talked about Harry Potter.
We were way in over our heads.
This is gonna get super awkward for Harry's dad.
Yeah.
Because he was already super mean to Snape for seemingly no reason.
Yeah.
Like, Austin, like, you're out of the social group. In fact, I'm going to hang you in a tree.
Yeah.
Like, no one likes you. And it's like, and now it's just going to be like,
Yeah.
wow, dude, Mr. Potter was like a real bad guy.
Where are you from, like Mobile, Alabama? What's the matter with you?
Harry's going to take
You
a
from
knee.
Boston?
It could work for Boston. It could work for like Mississippi.
You think Harry's going to take a knee for Snape?
Yeah, I think he might. Oh, and Harry hates Snape too. Like, deeply hates him the whole movie. And it's never really. Like, I know he's like, and the original one is because he's kind of ugly and weird.
He's pallid, and what were the description terms from the book? Pallid and greasy hair and whatever. It's like, or he's a bassist in a reggae band.
I don't care if it was like Black Dumbledore. It's like that doesn't really play a huge part in his character.
No,
like, sure,
totally
But
make
Snape, they're gonna have to figure some stuff out in that script.
Yeah, and like in their attempt to like inject DEI, they just like made the black guy the bad guy. Like they totally screwed that up.
Kind of the opposite of
It's the opposite of what you
Hamilton.
should have done. It's the opposite of
The
Hamilton.
only white guy was King George the Third.
They did the reverse Hamilton. That's the new thing. Reverse racism is the reverse Hamilton.
Maybe it's because it's just we're finally beyond it. At least that'd be nice. I don't think so though.
I'm going to take that. I think that's what we're post-racial. It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, you can have the black villain versus like the little English boy.
Yeah,
Are you going to see the new Odyssey movie?
Probably.
Christopher Nolan.
It's
Like, how do you
Nolan, bro.
not?
Also, I don't really know because there's so much hate online for something that no one's seen yet. I'm like,
Exactly. I don't even know what's true about it. I don't know what character's playing whom.
I didn't know why these people. I guess it's the Odyssey is just really core to a lot of people's personalities. They're also very online.
Well, I think it's that the Iliad and the Odyssey and Virgil's Aeneid are the foundation of the Western canon, and anything that threatens that is the sacred cow that like Western critical literary nerds can't handle. Like it's too much for them.
I guess that it's undermining the hero character, but I always reading it thought that he was pretty tough on the servant girls. Like that was a bit much.
Yeah,
to
no, it
kill
was a-
everyone.
yeah,
it's
like-
like what options did they? I don't know. Maybe, and people are saying, "Oh, he's no longer heroic." I'm like, that was always kind of a tough scene. At least to me. Maybe it's because I'm not an ancient Greek. Those guys.
Yeah. I like that. That's your best take. No, the priests, the exorcists are the modern day knights. That is your best take. That you could run forever on that, and
Let's get it out there.
you definitely should. And that's as a non-Catholic.
Give the
Like,
Knights of Columbus back their swords.
I'm
too.
interested in that and reading further on that. Let's leave it at that.
There, Bedford. Where can they find you?
Oh, they can find me at cbedford DC on Twitter, and they can read us at theblazenews.com. And at Frontier, the new issue of Frontier coming out.
And you endorse the 250 cigar.
It's my favorite thing so far. But the 250 celebration.
Hole in whatever. What's Trump's line? Hole in something endorsement.
Total complete endorsement.
It's got dragon energy.
All right. Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.